The controversy that has erupted at the National Assembly after opposition senators accused Senate President Akpabio of misrepresenting the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 that was passed on Tuesday. The senators, led by Senator Einaya Abaribe, held a press briefing on Wednesday claiming that the version of the bill announced as passed did not reflect what was actually approved during plenary.
To put the records straight, yesterday the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act. What we passed, and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. Transmit, not transfer. What is in 2022 is transfer, and we don't want a law that is vague. We don't want a law that will be misinterpreted by anybody. We want a law that is clear, concise, and can be interpreted by all, and that is unambiguous. So it is electronic transmission of results. Yes, thank you.
All right, clearly spelled out. Transmission, not transfer. Well, on Wednesday, Senate President Akpabio tried to clarify the Senate's decision, saying that the Senate did not reject electronic transmission of results, but retained its provisions in the current Electoral Act. Let's take a look.
But the social media already is awash with the fact that the Senate has rejected electronic transmission. That is not true. That is not true. Electronic transmission had always been in our act. And what we did was to retain the electronic transmission, which had been in our act and which was used in 2022. Let me just mention the fact that there was no deliberate attempt on the part of the Nigerian Senate to delay the amendment of the Electoral Act. Our intention had always been to ensure that we do our best, and we do it painstakingly.
All right. What Nigerians are asking is not to retain the Electoral Act 2022, but to amend it to make electronic transmission of results mandatory. We want results to be uploaded in real time onto the IREF portal from polling units. Currently, Section 63 of the Electoral Act does not mandate the electronic transmission of results. It gives INEC the discretion to determine the method of transfer of results. Nigerians want that section amended. And I'll take Peter Obi's post. In a lengthy tweet he wrote in part, the Senate's blatant rejection of mandatory electronic transmission of results is an unforgivable act of electoral manipulation ahead of 2027. This failure to pass a clear safeguard is nothing short of a deliberate assault on Nigeria's democracy. By rejecting these essential transparency measures, they are eroding the very foundation of credible elections. The turmoil, disputes, and manipulations that plagued past elections, especially the 2023 general election, stemmed directly from the refusal to fully implement electronic transmission. Nigerians were fed excuses of a fabricated glitch that never existed, while numerous African nations adopt electronic transmission to bolster democracy. Nigeria, the supposed giant of Africa, shamelessly lags behind, dragging the continent backwards. By rejecting mandatory electronic transmission, a critical safeguard for electoral integrity, we are entrenching disorder aimed at perpetuating confusion according to the whims of a small clique. Have we not reached a point where we must think seriously about the future of our country and our children? When the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, aware of our history, labeled us fantastically corrupt, we reacted defensively. When President Donald Trump declared us a now disgraced nation, we were incensed, yet with every act of resistance against transparency and reform, we continue to affirm their claims. Those responsible will later point fingers at others for harming the country while they quietly suffocate its potential. Let there be no illusion. The criminality witnessed in 2023 will not be tolerated in 2027. Nigerians everywhere must start getting ready to rise up, resist, and reject the backward trajectory, legitimately and decisively reclaim our country from the clutches of deliberate malevolence. I mean, that was, a detailed tweet. Again, electronic transmission of results is critical to preventing the kind of collation center manipulation that has plagued Nigerian elections. The fact that opposition senators from PDP, LP, and even one APC member are united on this issue shows how fundamental this provision is. Nigerians deserve a credible election. And you know, some of the argument, like I heard from the Senate spokesman, Adaramodu, yesterday, who was on our nightly news program, Newsnight, was the fact that, when you go to some remote places and, during the election, sometimes you're not able to upload the results, instantly, real time, because that's what people are asking. But that, if people don't see that the results are being uploaded in real time, they might feel disenfranchised and there will be chaos. That was his explanation. But the question that was asked was, do you have a mobile phone? In those areas, do we have electronic transmission of even conversations? And the answer is yes. We must revive our system. We must find ways to make sure that this system must work for Nigerians to believe in credible elections. Rufai.
You know why I was like this?
Yeah.
Adaramodu's argument is so jaded, bruh. Mr. Senator, your argument is so jaded. It's so 2023. These were the same dumb, daft arguments they made in 2023 that we shut them up for. Dumb, daft arguments. You don't even need a lot of bandwidth to be able to do the transmission. Are you guys kidding me? And you're bringing that argument again to 2027? It's daft, it's dumb. Please, we are not fools. INEC gets about 97% transmission for election. Are you not in this country?
Yeah.
Don't you see INEC gets about 97% transmission? Is it not from rural areas that do the transmission? Why is it that we have a set of leaders that always bring us back as a nation? Nigeria, you see, every morning I wake up and I see how blessed this country is. But when I see the quality of leaders we get, they are not even deserving of lacing the boots of the hardworking citizens of this country. Now the next thing, the senators, the bunch of them, sat together and they're trying to say, oh, it's transfer, not transmission. Heck yeah, we know what we're talking about.
All right.
It's transmission. You transmit, you send across a medium. Internet is a medium here, not transfer. And why we're doing this is to nullify the collation, the criminal center called collation center,
Right.
where people manipulate the elections.
Yes.
And by the way, if they've got nothing to hide, why did we have a technological glitch? Why was it only the presidential election? Nigerians must stand for this. These senators must stop making us a joke. And please, people, mark their face down. In the next election, deal with them. Show them how you feel.
Dr. Abbas.
Okay, a number of
Nonsense.
Earlier on today, we had former Minister Obi Ezekwesili, and we started with the piece she has written on the subject that it looks like the National Assembly is playing with fire. But the major point of our submission in the article she wrote is about trust.
Yes.
that to build trust
Correct.
in the electoral process, the National Assembly, in redefining, amending, reviewing the Electoral Amendment Act of 2022, must be seen to be doing it in a transparent and accountable manner to build confidence in the electoral process, so that the people will believe that the 2027 general election has not been rigged from now, and that it to be free, fair, and credible. So that's why transparency and accountability is important. The second issue to raise is the point made by Yemi Adaramudu, who is the spokesperson of the Senate. Now, you won't be able to transmit from some rural areas and all of that. He was just making a comment on the level of our development. They have elections in other places. When they hold elections in the US or they hold election in the UK, in some countries you may not even know that the election is going on. People will go to work, everything will happen, and it will be transmitted.
Yes.
But what the senator was saying basically is that we're still a backward country when it comes to election management. And what Nigerians and the commentariat have been saying is that, look, can we raise the level of performance, both institutionally and also procedurally? And in that regard, you cannot argue with the people. It's about raising the standards. Now, I made the point before that, you know, the politicians, the lawmakers are probably looking at pragmatism. Nobody as a politician will want to go and make a law that will remove him from power. So it's a game also of self-preservation. And Nigerians are saying, contrary-wise, that we the people should be the ones to decide. When you produce when we have voted, transmit real time.
Yes.
So that all of us can monitor the votes. If you say defend your votes, how will we defend the votes if what we get there will be at the discretion of INEC?
All right.
Finally, I do not think that those who are commenting on this should speak in a fashion that will look like they are inciting the people. Because when you tell the people, rise up, occupy National Assembly, that will be a form of incitement. I think the opposition should also speak like statesmen, like leaders. But I know it can be very frustrating when you see those in charge trying to play games with the process. But you know, nobody should recommend violence. Nobody should incite anybody, because the process itself has not been completed.
All right.
House of Reps is still saying they still have their own objections. The harmonization process has not taken place.
Right.
The president has not signed. So you can put pressure through your representatives.
You wanted to say something, but let Rufai quickly just say before so that you can
fun fact.
What was it?
ECHA image on IREF is roughly between 200 to 800 kilobytes per polling unit results. Many fall, if it's properly captured, it falls between 300 to 600 kilobytes. Adaramudu's argument does not hold water.
All right. Okay.
I've just proven empirically for you.
Argument around the fact that just with your phone network, if you are in a network in a network deprived area, even when you send messages and it has a one tick, when you get to an area, but the main issue is that let it be transmitted there. When you then get at least a point that you cannot change it in transit. That's what people are asking for. And that argument it falls flat. It speaks of almost an ignorance of how technology works, and it's quite sad to see that that's the level of our development here in Nigeria. I think it paints us in very bad light. But very quickly on inciting, Nigerians will get to a point, and I can bet you that they would not need an opposition figure to make a point around that. I recall when the Enough is Enough movement started, that term, enough is enough. When you continue to push the people, whether or not anybody comes out to say it, the people will fight back. And that's why it is a note of warning to our leaders that let's look at examples around the world. Look at Kenya, look at Nepal, look at Tanzania. People will, and you can't kill everybody. So the truth is that people still have a right to peaceful protest, but you cannot push Nigerians to the wall and expect that they just keep looking docile, and we keep saying, oh, just calm down. If they have used all the legal options, and this is why we are asking them to let the voices of people be heard, so that people do not feel aggravated beyond the point of legality.
Speaking about Obieze Kwesili and her note, I'd like to read the final word for the Senate, and for the Nigerian people to know what the provision is. For the avoidance of any confusion, here is the exact text of the key proposed provision from the Electoral Act Amendment Bill. The presiding officer shall electronically transmit the results from each polling unit to the INEC result viewing portal, IREV, in real time, and such transmission shall be done after the prescribed Form EC8A has been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and where available, countersigned by candidates or polling unit agents. This cannot be too difficult. We wait for the harmonization of that bill. Nigerians deserve a credible election.